Good morning. It's Saturday, September 3rd, 2022, and I'm so happy to share with you one of these authors who is like my favorite current author. He's got a lot of work under his belt, too. So his name is Andrew Vachss. That's how you spell it. You want to go do a little wiki search, a little search in your library or Barnes & Noble or Amazon, go right ahead. It's fantastic. Um, Andrew Vachss himself was a lawyer. I think he was kind of like on the front line for anything that involved crimes against children, abuse, sexual abuse, slavery, anything you can think of. I think he's had a hand in trying to make sure that that got um, avenged, justice, you name it, on whatever you can do as a lawyer. Now he takes his knowledge of that. I'd hate to say the word industry, but he takes the knowledge of that industry and puts it into many of his books. He's got a huge bibliography behind his name. His most famous is actually this Burke series. It's got about 18 books in it, where it does follow his one like street level detective, so to speak, who's got a close knit group of friends. They stay completely off the grid. They stay away from cops as much as possible, and they get down and dirty and get the job done. That also appears sometimes in his other series, Cross. He's got about 3 or 4 of those as well. Aftershock is a little tamer, but has the same message as also. I first became familiar with Andrew Vachss because I actually saw that he did a Batman book. Because what better detective novel can you write than using what they'll say is one of the greatest detectives ever created in fiction, which is Batman? And yes, it is a searching out a child who's been kidnapped, or something has been done to the child, and Batman's trying to get to the end of it. And it's not one of these things where Batman's going up against some super villain who's scarred face or has a power or is just a lunatic, whatever else. He's just going after a disturbed, villainish person who goes against children. So it put it to the street level on a very good thing. On a very good, detailed novel that you can read. So after reading Batman the Ultimate Evil, I found actually one of the Burke books. I didn't know it was a Burke book, called Footsteps of the Hawk, and then I kind of got hooked on them. Went out, found a whole bunch of used bookstores and eBay and whatnot, and I collected all of his novels, and I went through every single one of them. In fact, I have a shelf behind me that's strictly an Andrew Vachss shelf, and this includes, his one-off kind of books like this, plus his whole series books, plus some of his stories that got adapted to comic books as well. So I'm a fan. Love this guy. So this is the latest one that came out, Bloodline. And Bloodline kind of follows that living off the grid. I want to loosely use the term vigilante. But one of the things that happens here is this person kind of adopts a young child he finds in his adventures and kind of brings him under his own umbrella. So the bloodline itself is the bloodline of these avenging, killer, whatever type family people. And you pass it on from one to another over time. Like these people end up saying, I think I'm out of the life now. I have to groom the next generation. And he will be called my son. He will think of me as a father. And he will take on the work and continue it after I'm dead. And they'll do that. Maybe they'll only be active in the field for like 5, 10 years. But then they find someone, they rescue them, they groom them any way they could, teach them how to live off the grid, cash only, don't make an appearance to yourself, but at the same time, maybe have like a presence that the IRS could track. So you do have a persona, but also have all of your other personas that you're going to need for whatever work and tasks that you need to be done. So, it's not a large book. It's less than 250 pages. I do like that Andrew Vachss's writing style, where he has pretty much like little, that's all washed up, there you go, little pieces of chapters throughout the way. So you're reading whole sections from here to here. That's what the person's thinking at that time and his perspective, and then what he's seeing, what he's experiencing, what he's feeling in the moment, but that moment doesn't have to be too long. It's like, okay, now I have to go get a car that we need to dispose of later on afterwards. Boom. And then he goes to get it. And then he grabs the thing. And then he goes to the job and he brings the kid along and learns a little bit about it for maybe a couple paragraphs and go on. It's a very fast pace, which is very lovely to read. I got the same feeling whenever I read Edgar Rice Burroughs, especially his John Carter series. You read John Carter, yeah, he's putting a bunch of descriptions in there, but it's never let me give you this tapestry of this and let me introduce these groups and there's factions and something happens here, but you're going to need that information later on where the twist comes involved or whatever else. I remember reading John Carter and just going through and being like, okay, I see someone in trouble, I go help them. And then I've helped them, now we have to escape. There's a vehicle, let's get in the vehicle. We go in a vehicle, we're being chased, let's take care of that. Now we're in a canyon, we got to get out of the canyon. And it just kind of goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Doesn't matter that you have like, oh, remember that conversation from way earlier, now is when you needed to know that information. It's just linear, and it makes for a good read sometimes. Because not everything has to be M. Night Shyamalan to show you, like, oh, that's been there the whole time. I'm rambling, I understand that, but like I said, Andrew Vachss, I'm a big fan. I highly recommend you pick him up, even if you grab some of his one-off novels first, before you dive into a whole series. Not a bad way to go. In fact, you can get a lot from, he's got a couple short story collections. And I'm a fan of short story collections because you get either a very minute aspect of a world, but you know enough about it due to the quick introduction to understand how deep you're going into that one detail, versus just a very simple beginning, middle, end short story. I think some short stories tell the most powerful stories. Netflix has the show now called Love, Death, and Robots. And there are some in there, I think, Sunny's Edge, I think it's the 4th episode of the 1st season, blew me away. Because you're, again, on street level of something that's going on. And you get enough details on the way down to realize how far underneath the earth you're kind of starting with this story. And then it moves forward from there. So again, Andrew Vachss, his latest one. And this is the kind of guy that whenever I see a new book is out, I will just buy it immediately. I'll pay full retail on it because he deserves it. Okay, until next time, just keep on reading. Hope this is helpful in some fashion. If you got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, take it easy. Bye-bye.